Hello my dear students, welcome to computer science class. So in my previous video, we have completed certain characteristics of computers such as speed, memory, storage, accuracy, versatility, automation, diligence and cost effectiveness. I hope each and every characteristic of computer is clear to you all. So in this video, let us study what are the functionalities that a computer system has to perform and what are the functional components of computer system. So let us see what are the basic functionalities that any computer system has to perform. Computer system might be your desktop computer system, or it might be a laptop, or it might be a tablet or the notebook. Irrespective of any computer system, they should be capable of performing at least certain basic functionalities. What are those basic functionalities? Let us see. The first thing is your computer system should be capable of accepting the data and program as the input. Okay, it should be capable of accepting the data and a program. Data is nothing but your raw data, might be in any text, video file, audio file, okay, image, okay, or it might be any raw facts like raw facts, figures, statistics and all. Programs, those are the set of instructions. If you are giving 2 plus 5 into 3, it is an instruction. So your computer system should be capable of accepting the data and the program as the input. Second step is it should allow you to store the data, program and retrieve as and when it is required. So it should capable of storing. I said how it will provide you to store the data by giving an option as save option. Okay, and plus it should also capable of retrieving the data, means whenever you need the data. Think that you have created a Word document in the last year and you have saved it in your computer system, but you need that document right now in this year. You want to fetch the contents of it. Then when you search for that file, your computer system should allow you to access those contents, whatever you have saved in that particular document. It should allow you to access that particular data. That is nothing but the second step, that is it will allow you to store the data, program and retrieve as and when it is required. Then third step is it will process the data as per the instruction given by the program, and it has to convert the data into useful information. That means what? It should, whatever the raw data we have given, it should accept the data and it should calculate those instructions as per the given instruction and convert it in the useful information. Now 2 plus 5 into 3 is an instruction. Firstly, it has accepted it. It has also stored it. Now what I have given 2 plus 5 into 3. As per our given instruction, we know that 5 into 3 should be calculated first and then addition. So that instruction should be calculated as per the given instruction. Then after calculation, it should provide me the useful information as 17 was the answer. So it should be able to convert that given, because the computer will understand the language, that is binary language, that is zeros and ones. If it is providing me the 17 in terms of binary zeros and ones, can you understand? No, right? So after processing, it should also capable of converting it into the useful information where user can understand. Then fourthly is it should able to communicate that information as an output. That means it should able to produce that 17 onto your output screen, that is the monitor. That is nothing but it should communicate the information as output. So there are 4 basic functionality that any computer can perform. The first one is it should accept the data and program as the input. Secondly is it should allow you to store the data, program and retrieve as and when it is required. Thirdly is it should process the data as per the instructions given by the programmer and convert it into the useful information. And the fourth one is it should communicate the information as the output. So these are the 4 basic functionalities that a computer system can perform. It is important question, again 2 marks they will be asking. So write the basic functions that the computer has to perform. That means all these 4 points you need to write. So I will be showing you here. So these are the 4 points that you need to write. That is, the following functions are carried out by the computer system. Yes. I hope the points are clear to you. Moving on to the next one, the functional components of a computer system. Yes, for this functional components of a computer system, wherein you have to explain each and every unit here. So it's a very important question, 5 marks question. The question would be like this: briefly explain the functional components of a computer system. So the computer system here, based upon the functionality, your computer system has been divided into 4 units. The first unit is the input unit, and then we have the processing unit. This is entire is the processing unit. Then we have the output unit, and then we have the memory unit. So based upon the functionality, your entire computer is being divided into 4 units, that is the input unit, the processing unit, okay, the memory unit, and the output unit. Now here we will in detail, are going to study about each and every unit. Before I start in detail the explanation, I would just like to give a summary how exactly this computer system would function. So usually the user or the programmer will provide through an input data. They'll usually provide the data or the instructions through the input unit. Okay, so that the computer should accept that input unit. Okay, then once it will accept the data will first be stored into the memory unit, that is primary storage. Okay. So as and when the input will accept the computer will accept the input data or the instruction, that data will be stored into the primary memory. Then that data will be forwarded to the control unit. It will forwarded to the control unit. The control unit will divide that entire instruction into series of instruction. Then each and every instruction will be given to the, that is ALU, for the processing purpose. So ALU, arithmetic and logic unit, is the one which will perform the calculations. After it performs the calculation, again that final result will be sent back to where? It will be sent back to the primary memory. This primary memory will store the data, output it will store the data. Then this primary memory will forward that output to the output unit. Through the output unit it will forward the data, which will be in the form of information. Then through the output devices like monitor, okay, then speakers, we will be able to see the output. I hope you are able to understand. Once again I'll explain this. Usually the user will enter the data or the instructions through the input unit. That means your computer should be capable of accepting the data or the instruction through the most commonly used input devices like keyboard, mouse, joystick, okay, scanner. Through all these input devices, your computer system will accept the data or the instruction. Isn't it? It's the first functionality of the computer system. Okay, it will accept the data. Once it will accept the data, where your instructions or the data will be stored, it will go to the next unit. It will go to the primary storage. Okay, it will store here. After it will get stored, this primary storage, now it will get to know that this is a new instruction I have received. It has to be processed. So for processing purpose, what it does is, primary storage unit, it will forward that instruction to where? This is actually both combining the control unit and the ALU makes the processor or the central processing unit. In that, this primary storage unit will send those instructions to the control unit. This arrow marks you are seeing, this is nothing but the data flow. Those instructions will be received by the control unit. Then the entire instruction will be divided into series of logical steps. If I have 2 plus 5 into 3, that means this entire instruction will be divided by the control unit. Then each instruction will be forwarded to the ALU for the processing. ALU will perform the required calculations it will perform, and then final result will be generated. That final result directly it will not send to the output unit. That final result will be sent back again to the primary storage. Then this primary storage will forward the data to the output unit through the output devices like monitor, okay, speakers. You are able to see the output onto your display screen. Now this is how the functionality of the block diagram of computer. Now this actually thicker lines shows you the data flow. How this secondary storage, we will discuss later why it is. So if I, now this is what is primary storage, is nothing but it is a temporarily it will store the data. Once you off the computer system, whatever the data, whatever the contents was here, no, everything will be erased. Now secondary storage devices are like whenever you connect your external devices like pen drive, CD, your card reader, okay, or your external hard disk, whenever you connect to your computer system, that time the secondary storage allow you to store the data permanently. Okay, so this is how exactly and what about these dotted lines? These are the control flow. Actually control where it flows is from input unit directly to the CPU, the control will flow, but data will be transferred to where? That is primary storage. Control will be actually from input unit to processing. After processing, actually the control will directly go for the output unit, but the processing, data processing will go actually step by step. So input unit will communicate the central processing for the processing purpose, then central processing purpose will forward that data, final result, one copy will be stored into your primary storage. Then this control flow also will communicate directly to the output unit. It will control this output unit. It will say that output unit, you need to display that output onto your output screen. So once the input unit will receive the data, input unit will inform the control unit. It will inform the CPU that we have received the data. Then after processing, this CPU will inform this primary storage that I am sending the final result to in order to store the data. Okay, then this CPU will also inform the output unit that there is a certain information that has to be displayed through the output unit. This dotted line actually indicates the control flow, whereas this thicker line, it is indicating the data flow. That is what I said. It is system software is nothing but it actually controls and monitors the various output devices of the computer system. How it is controlling? By sending the signals, by sending this control flow. This central processing unit is actually controlling all the inputs, working of all the input devices. Now let us see the explanation of each unit. That is the first unit we are discussing about the input unit. This input unit is an hardware component that allows the user to enter the data and instructions into the computer by making use of the some of the important input devices like keyboard, mouse, microphone, scanner, webcam. Through these input devices, the user will enter the data or the instructions through the input unit. Okay, moving on to the next unit, the very important unit, that is the central processing unit, that is actually CPU in short. So CPU is the main part of our computer system that carries out the instructions of the program. Okay, so this CPU is called as the brain of the computer system because it is the only unit that capable of read, okay, execute and interpret the program execution. Okay, so this CPU is the main part of the computer system. It is called as the brain of the computer system because this is a unit that is capable to read the instruction, to interpret and executes the program instruction systematically. So what do you mean by read? In the sense, whenever the data is being entered through the input unit, the data instructions will be sent to the central processing unit for the processing. So this CPU will be capable of reading what data the user is sending. Okay, it will capable to read. It is 2 plus 5 into 3. It will just read the instruction. Interpreting means understanding. It will understand that there is in that particular instruction 2 plus 5 into 3. It will understand that it involves addition as well as multiplication to be performed. Then processing or executing, in the sense it will apply the necessary calculation and performs the calculation. This is the only unit that is capable of reading, interpreting and processing the data. That is why CPU is to be considered as the brain of the computer system. I hope you are able to understand. Even now, whenever I'm teaching you directly, as in when I'm telling you, you are unable to, your brain will directly, it will not capable to store whatever I'm telling. It will actually read the instruction. You are able to listen After listening, what you do is your brain, it is understanding, that is nothing but interpreting. Once you understand whatever I am telling, it will be stored in your memory, it will be stored in your memory, and you will execute or process accordingly. You will start, whenever I ask question, you will process the data and you will be starting, you will be able to tell the answers. Now this is nothing but that is your brain, it is doing. No, similarly we have something known as central processing unit in the computer system that is capable of reading the instruction, interpreting and processing the instruction. That is why we say the CPU as the brain of the computer system. Apart from this CPU is capable of taking all the major decisions. Okay, it makes all sorts of calculations and it directs the different parts of the computers by functioning and activating the operation, as this control flow shows here. Okay, this CPU is, it is not only, it is not only reading and all, it is capable of making certain decision. As 2 plus 5 into 3, by looking at this, it is able to decide first the multiplication should be performed, then it says that addition should be performed. Means it is making all kind of decision, it is making all sorts of calculation, plus it is controlling the different units of your computer system by activating them. This is what is control flow. See, CPU is controlling the input unit, CPU is controlling the storage unit, CPU is also controlling the output unit. Okay, then this CPU, it is also responsible to make sure that it is having the communication with the different units. Okay, it is having the communication with the different units of your computer system. Now this, whatever arrows you are saying, no, this is nothing but the data flow. Now data flow in the sense, obviously data and instructions are getting exchanged from one unit to the another unit. So it is a responsibility of the CPU to make sure that all the devices or all the units on your computer system are communicating with each other by the pathway known as the bus. So bus is a pathway, okay, that will provide you the communication between the different components of computer system. Now bus is nothing but they are actually the parallel wires, okay, that they are helping you to connect the two different units. They are the parallel wires that is helping you to transfer the data between the input unit to the primary to the secondary, again primary to the CPU to again primary memory here, again primary memory to the output unit. So through the help of the bus they are able to communicate. This is nothing but the bus. What exactly these bus are? Bus are nothing but they are the parallel wires that are helping you to transfer the data from one unit to the another unit. I hope you are able to understand. Now this CPU consists of registers, it consists of the control unit, and it also consists of the ALU. Here the registers are being not shown because they are the internal memory used in the central processing unit, but CPU will actually consist of what? Registers, okay, control unit and the ALU. What are these registers? I'll tell you. Registers are nothing but they are the temporary storage. Okay, they are the temporary storage memory units that are being used by this processor. Suppose now when I have 2 plus 5 into 3 as an instruction, what happens? 5 into 3 will be performed first, multiplication. Okay, the 2 plus 5 into 3 will be given actually from the primary to the control unit. Control unit will divide that entire instructions first in 5 into 3. 5 into 3 will be stored in registers. Register will forward it to the ALU for the calculation. Again ALU will perform what? 15. 15 is an intermediate result. That is not an final result. That intermediate results will be stored in the register. Register will take the next instruction. 5 plus 5, 15 should be done next, no? So 5 plus 5 into 15 will be forwarded to the ALU through the help of register. Register will temporarily store the data. Okay, then 5 plus 5 into 15 will be performed, that would be 20. Again the data will be holded temporarily, it will be stored in the register. Again what? 2 plus 20, 22. Again that will be stored into the register. Register will forward the data to the CU will forward the data to the primary storage. So output result will be stored in the primary. Again from primary storage through the output unit the data will be displayed. So what is the job of this register? Registers are the temporary storage units that are being used by this CPU. Okay, they are the internal memory used by the CPU. For the temporary storage they are using. So in detail, what are the different units that are being consisted by the CPU, like that is the control unit, ALU unit and the memory unit, we will be discussing in our next video. I hope the students you are able to understand. You just need to remember about the CPU is that it is the main part of the computer. Okay, it is capable of reading, interpreting and program execution in systematic way. That is why we call the CPU as the brain of the computer. Then apart from this, it is able to make all sorts of decision, performs all sorts of calculation, and it is also directing and controlling the different units of computer by controlling and activating them. Then it is also responsibility of the CPU to make all the it is responsibility of the CPU to communicate the different units of the computer system through the help of the bus. Bus is nothing but it is a pathway which allows the data transfer between them. So these points you should be able to remember. Okay, and this CPU also consists of what? Registers, control unit and the ALU. Only these points you need to remember. I hope you are able to understand. Okay, we will be discussing we will be discussing the next units in detail. What is control unit, what is ALU, memory, storage and the output unit in our next video. So this was all about the input devices. So we can see here the different input devices like camera, touch screen, okay, scanner, microphone, we have joystick, keyboard, mouse, webcam, trackball. Through all these input devices, actually the input data will be given by the user to the computer system. They are the different types of input devices. Okay, then this is the central processing. So please go through this slide. Okay, all these points will be provided obviously in the notes also. I hope students the concepts are clear to you. We will meet you in the next video with the furthermore topics. Thank you students. Take care of yourself.